Welcome back to the 54th episode of the BatChums podcast. I'm Drew Leiter, and joining me tonight is my co-host, the man, the myth, the new legend, the ice cold Mike Gordon.
Howdy. Man, the temperature just dropped in here, Drew.
I know it dropped a lot.
It is like I know it's like
It's
as we're recording
freezing.
this, it's springtime, but man, it feels so cold.
Actually, up here in Indiana, it got down to 26 the other night.
Wow. Here in Atlanta, it got down to 70. So a little bit different. But
Yes, just a little bit.
we are at the second ice age of Batman 66, I think, right?
Yes, we are. So this is Batman Season 2, Episode 19, Green Ice. Episode aired Wednesday, November 9th, 1966, directed by George Wagner. And I noticed in the credits, they still had the big G's for Wagner.
Yeah, I noticed that too. Now, I assumed this is what happens when you assume, Drew, that the G's were capitalized and uh, all the other like letters in his name were lowercase because that was a thing that he wanted to do, or that's the thing that the graphics guys did because of the Egghead episode. Because the Egghead episode, the two-parter were the first things from Batman 66 he directed. He'd go on to direct a total of 10 episodes for the series, but those were the first two. But then looking at it, after I saw this, I was like, what's going on? And a lot of his directing, the things he directed for TV, because he directed for movies and TV, he directed a lot of movies. As a matter of fact, he directed the 1941 movie The Wolfman, starring Lon Chaney Jr. So he's made some interesting movies, but whenever he directed for TV, whether it was for uh, Man from Uncle, Green Hornet, 77 Sunset Strip, Maverick, whatever series that whenever he directed for TV, he always had his name as this, which is all lowercase except for the two G's. I don't know if that was his way of saying I'm directing for TV and it's not it's a lowercase thing or something, but yeah, so apparently he did that quite often. So I thought it was a play on the egg puns from the Egghead episodes, but apparently it's just what he does for when he directs TV.
Alrighty then.
Also, it should be noted that this episode aired on November 9th, 1966. 2 years later, on November 9th, 1968, would be the birth of me.
So exactly 2 years before.
Yep. This aired on my pre-birthday, I guess. It was yeah, 2 years before I was born. So
All right. I don't want to forget to say who was written by. This was written by Max. I don't know how to pronounce his last name.
I think it's Hodge.
Hodge. So
Yeah,
Max Hodge.
yeah. And Max Hodge, this is the he actually wrote the first season two-parter for the Freeze that Freeze was in, Instant Freeze and Rats Like Cheese. So this is his second foray into writing Freeze episodes. These are the only four episodes that he would go on and direct. I'm sorry,
So
write. These are the only four episodes he wrote, so he just contributed to the Freeze saga here. And I don't know that you can tell really that it's the same writer. It doesn't acknowledge the past two-parter, but I think that's more because of who is playing Freeze than the writing, which we'll get into in a minute.
all right. So let's dive into this. Gotham City's annual Miss Galaxy contest. The five remaining contestants are preparing for tonight's final event. Miss Corsica, Miss Canary Islands, Miss Barrier Reef, Miss Gotham City, and Miss Iceland.
Yeah, it seems like
Suddenly,
they're named after different things. They're not all named after countries or cities, or they're just named after various things.
I know, I thought that was pretty random.
Yes. It should be noted here too that Miss Iceland is played by Dee Hartford. Dee Hartford is someone else. She did a lot of TV, Land of the Giants, Lost in Space, Girl from Uncle, Twilight Zone. She's in The Outer Limits. Her sister is probably more notable than her because her sister Eden was married to Groucho Marx for about a decade or so, from 54 to 69, so a little over a decade. Um, and this is just one of those little trivia things. On the set of A Girl in Every Port from 1952 with Groucho Marx and William Bendix, she made an appearance, and Groucho and William Bendix referred to her as quote unquote icy knockers.
Alrighty then.
So goes with the Icelandic freeze theme, I think. But yeah, I guess we'll just move on from there.
Yeah. Suddenly, Mr. Freeze shows up with two henchmen. They throw a net over Miss Iceland and kidnap her. Back.
Uh all right, so let's before we go anywhere else, let's talk about Mr. Freeze because Mr. Freeze comes in and guess what? He looks a lot different than his last appearance in the first first season. Um he's now played by Otto Preminger. My understanding is they did reach out to George Sanders first and foremost, but George Sanders had a conflict. We'll put that in quotes because we don't know. I don't think he relished his time on Batman, but in any case, he had prior commitments. He had a conflict, so they were looking for someone to replace him. And Otto Preminger's kids is it kids or grandchildren? His grandchildren, sorry, he had grandchildren who I think were twins. Big fans of the show, and they were so excited. They kept pushing him to do the show. So he called up William Dozer and said, I'd like to be on the show in some capacity." Now, Otto Preminger is primarily known as a director, a film director. He directed his first film in Europe in 1931, came to the United States in 1936. He directed until 1979 is his last film credit. So he directed quite a long time, and he died in 80 from in 86 at the age of 80 from lung cancer and Alzheimer's disease. Not a great combination. But he directed a lot of like great movies. He directed the classic film noir 1944 Laura. He also directed Frank Sinatra in 1955's The Man with the Golden Arm and Jimmy Stewart in 1959's The Anatomy of a Murder. Those are classic. Those are just three of the like not everything he did was a home run, but I mean just those alone are notable. You could say that he's maybe a better director than he is an actor. Uh, and he directed a movie called Forever Amber in 1947 that actually Alan Napier appeared in. But according to Alan Napier, he said that working with Preminger on the film was unpleasant, and he had to hold his tongue while he was dealing with Preminger while working on this episode. I don't think they have any scenes together, but uh, but I think from what I understand, a lot of the cast and crew would find out just how unpleasant Preminger could be while making this. Now, even though he was primarily known as a director, he did do some acting. His first appearance as an actor in film is 1942's The Pied Piper, but most notably around 1953, he plays I believe, a Nazi in Stalag 17. And so that kind of put him on the map of doing more acting work. Yeah, so it wasn't unheard of for him to do acting appearances, but he was primarily notably known for as being a director, and like I said, a really really good one, and I dare say a better director than he is an actor. Yeah, we'll knowing that going in, here's our Are you familiar with Auto Preminger? Do you remember this version of Mr. Freeze?
Yes, this is the version of Mr. Freeze I remember.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So, and I also saw a few years ago at Indiana Comic Con, somebody cosplayed as him, this version of
Hmm.
Mr. Freeze. So,
This one in particular.
yep.
Yeah, I think this one gets more widely regarded because out of the three actors that played Mr. Freeze on the series, this one, Otto Premingers, is visually, I think, the most interesting. He's also bald, which I think we usually attribute Mr. Freeze as being bald. I don't think the other two. I think the other two just had white hair, if I can remember correctly. And yeah, and he's got these weird, almost red crimson eyebrows that I don't remember George Sanders having. Uh, and I don't know if they kept bothering him during the shoot because he kept like moving his hand to his eyebrow. And I kept thinking something was going to happen when he did that, but I guess it was just a nervous tick that he had. I don't know if it's something that he gave the character a nervous tick like that, or if the actor, or if him as an actor, it was uncomfortable or something. But yeah. Uh the two henchmen, Chill and Shivers, they are played by Hubie Kearns and Victor Paul, who were stand-ins that were used in fight sequences for Batman and Robin throughout the series. That'll come into play a little bit later.
Back at police headquarters, Commissioner Gordon calls Batman on the hotline phone. Shiver me timbers! Chief O'Hara spots Mr. Freeze in the ventilation shaft. Mr. Freeze blasts them with his freeze gun.
And I don't think the George Sanders Mr. Freeze would have been able to fit in the place. Up on floor 13.
At Wayne Manor, Alfred is dusting in Bruce's study when the bat phone rings. When Alfred answers it, all Commissioner Gordon can say is help. Alfred answers, naturally, sir. Bruce and Dick enter the study before Alfred has a chance to even summon them. Bruce tells Alfred that Mrs. Cooper is looking for him about the reception she is planning tonight. Without a word, Alfred points at the hotline phone using his duster as a pointer. Bruce answers the phone, and Commissioner Gordon can barely say, Batman, help! To the bat poles on the double.
And I did notice that thanks to you pointing it out, as well as what we learned in the Batman Museum, that yes, Bruce's pole is wider than
Yes.
Dick's, and they don't have signs on them for some reason in this episode.
I did not notice that.
Yeah, usually they have signs on them saying which one is which, and this time they do not. Prop crew is not on top of things in this one.
Or either they're falling down like my Robin and Nightwing poster.
I don't think they use, well, I think they use something a little stronger to affix them on the poles, but who knows?
When Batman and Robin arrive at police headquarters, Mr. Freeze is watching from an ice cream truck across the street. Mr. Freeze orders his henchmen, Chill and Shivers, to get the operation going. Batman and Robin step out of the elevator to find several policemen standing helpless outside of Commissioner Gordon's office. Holy polar front! Commissioner Gordon and Chief O'Hara are trapped inside. Using plastic explosives, Batman blows the door open. Batman and Robin hurry to warm up Commissioner Gordon and Chief O'Hara.
Two things here. One, well, actually three things, because there's a lot that happens here. But so the cops are just like, they're dead. And Batman's like, well, don't give up hope. He's all about saving his buddy Jim. And so he puts the explosives on the door. Now, I believe it's during this time period, or at this stunt in particular, where the explosion is not contained well enough, and actually Burt Ward gets pretty injured. My understanding is that he suffered third degree burns all throughout,
Ooh.
all over his arm. So um, so a lot of this episode, the rest of this episode, there are several scenes that are blocked so that his right arm is obscured, so that you can't see Robin's right arm. Batman will be in front of him a lot in this storyline, and in various times when he's not there, you can kind of see in a few shots that um his arm is bandaged. So yeah, according to Burt Ward, he suffered a lot while making this series. They just put him in harm's way almost on a weekly basis. And yeah, this one was pretty bad though. He got burned pretty significantly here.
Now, did it delay any production of any episodes at all, or they just kept
They
on
just kept
powering through?
they just wrapped him up and said, "Go on out there, Bert." So, in fact, most notably, we do get a lot of like holy this, holy that Batman's in this, but at no point during this two-parter does Bert do his signature punching of his own palm. He does not do that because it would hurt too much.
Across the street, inside the ice cream truck, Mr. Freeze informs Miss Iceland that he plans to slowly lower the temperature in her body so that she can love him as much as people will soon hate Batman.
The other thing I wanted to mention, there's a couple other things I wanted to mention. Well, one other thing I wanted to mention too about when Batman and Robin, after they blow the doors off, and Adam does a tremendous job of selling it because when Batman like runs in, he slips and slides a couple times, and I don't I don't think that I think that was his just him acting. I don't think that was actually like, oh, Adams had a few too many. Um, so I thought he did a really good job selling it that way. And then after he, as he's sort of getting bringing the commissioner to life, um, commissioner says some weird things to Batman. About he always knew that Batman would be basically paraphrasing that he would always be there to save him or whatever, and it just sounded even even Batman looks a little uncomfortable with it. He's like, yes, well, Robin does not get the same treatment from O'Hara.
Later on in Commissioner Gordon's office, Nellie Majors and the other reporters are demanding answers. Nellie states that she has seen many heroes tarnished in her career. Commissioner Gordon chimes in, stating he will not have the Caped Crusader spoken to like this in his office.
This is our introduction to journalist Nellie Majors, who's named after the pioneering late 19th century journalist Nellie Bly. And she's played by Mary Windsor. Mary Windsor is a pretty accomplished actress. She did a lot of B movies, some film noir. She's in a movie called The Killing, which is a great film noir movie. And kind of on brand for Batman. She did a movie in 1953 called Catwoman of the Moon. She also appeared and she worked until like the 80s because she appeared in the Salem's Lot miniseries in 1979. She appeared in the Incredible Hulk series. So she worked quite a bit until 1991 is when but she actually only died in 2000. She died at the age of 80. But she was around for a long time. She's really striking here. I was really, I think they did a really good job with her. And at least in this episode, I don't know what the second episode is yet because we haven't seen it yet, but I don't recall it as well. But we, I thought that she was a planter, that she would have more to do with the plot, and she doesn't really do much more, at least in this first part anyway.
Suddenly, a delivery man shows up with a large block of green ice. Commissioner Gordon demands to know who ordered that. The delivery man answers that a couple of guys down in the street ordered it. They paid cash in advance. It has a note written on it that states to Batman for incidental crime expenses. Inside the block of green ice is cash. Nellie Majors assumes it is bribe money, a reward for not revealing what happened here today. Nellie tells Batman that his math makes an excellent blindfold.
The interplay between the two of them is really interesting because we know that Batman has like a history of something like there's something, he has a gripe against the media. Like he is always using them and very not very complimentary. Now, he does admit that, that the free press is an important part of society, but and he even says something to the akin to, or something to the effect to Nellie that I would not be so bold as to tell your newspaper what or what not to print. And I'm like, yeah, you would. We've seen you plant false stories many times in the past. Yeah, it's an interesting. I almost thought that the interplay between those two was more interesting than the interplay between him and Freeze.
After the press leaves, Batman donates the money to the Policemen's Welfare Fund. Across town at a closed Gotham City cold storage plant, Mr. Freeze celebrates his first victory in Operation Hate Batman by showing his henchmen the news article about Batman in the newspaper. Chill and Shivers dress up as Batman and Robin for the next step in Mr. Freeze's plan.
Yeah, there's sort of an in joke here where when Mr. Freeze first sees them in the costume, he says, "Wow, I would think that you're the real Batman and Robin from a distance." Because actually, when you watch this series, during the fight sequences from a distance, it really is Hubie Kearns and Victor Paul as Batman and Robin. So yeah, when Mr. Freeze says that, it's kind of funny. Yeah, we have seen them dressed like this before. Um,
In the Batcave, Batman has fed information into the crime analyzer on Mr. Freeze's past crimes to see what it computes for the future. It tells Batman about more green ice.
Yeah, it's weird because the bat analyzer or says crime analyzer, it doesn't say bat analyzer on it or something, so that's kind of weird. But the other thing about this too is that, we have commented that this season that they're using the bat computer and elements of like, the other computers a little bit more than doing detective work. And I found in this episode they were really lazy and just using the computer more than they were actually using their brains.
Well,
Uh,
I noticed that, I don't know if you noticed, but I did. Probably because I paused it to do my notes, but they the printout came from the actual Bat computer. And Batman is sitting in front of the Bat analyzer. So it shows the Bat computer and a printout come out, and then all of a sudden the scene kind of cuts to Batman sitting in front of the Bat analyzer, and he reaches down and grabs it like it's coming from the Bat analyzer. So they goofed and had it come from the wrong machine.
yeah, it's kind of messy. Plus, like I said, I mean, we've seen just recently, Batman is, like with the Egghead two-parter, we were commenting how cool it was that Batman knew what all the farms were like, and he didn't need the computer to rely on that. So that was a good thing. But here. We don't get any of that. We don't get any of Batman really think going above and beyond. They're just using the computer to try to figure it out. And even when the computer spits out what the answer is, they just kind of look at each other like we don't know what that means. So, but I think they don't get really a chance to because I think Alfred comes down, right?
Yep. Alfred enters the Batcave via the service elevator to inform Batman that the guests will be arriving shortly for a poolside reception for the Bruce Wayne Foundation. I'm going to stop here for a second because they called it, instead of calling it the Wayne Foundation, they called it the Bruce Wayne Foundation here.
Yeah, that was weird. Because usually it's the Wayne Foundation is usually not named after Bruce. It's
No.
named after his father or, his family, the family history. But yeah, here they make it a point to say the Bruce Wayne Foundation. So
Holy tuxedo! If they are late, Aunt Harriet will kill them. Batman tells Robin that the word kill is not to be bandied about haphazardly. To the reception on the double.
yeah, they get yeah, we don't get to see them go back up in the I don't know if they have a tux button that puts them in tuxedos on their way up. But yeah, I did like that. I thought it was good. Robin or Dick gets schooled for using the word kill nonchalantly, and I thought, Batman doesn't kill, right? So even using the word incorrectly or too casually, it kind of bugs him. So that was a nice point. I did like that.
Upstairs, Mrs. Cooper welcomes Mayor Linseed and his wife. Bruce and Dick show
Marilyn
up and
Seed, man, he's been in a lot of these lately episodes,
he
hasn't he?
has. Bruce and Dick show up and apologize for being tardy. Dick states he lost a cufflink. Mrs. Cooper tells Bruce that she originally planned to go Japanese, but the caterer suggested Irish instead. Holy shamrocks! Emerald! Bruce whispers to Dick that it is also known to the criminal world as green ice.
Dun, dun, dun. Here we get the title from.
Yep. Suddenly, Mr. Freeze shows up. A special duty policeman tries to stop him, but he gets frozen instead. The caterers start relieving the guests of their money and jewelry. Mrs. Cooper recognizes Mr. Freeze's voice as the voice of the caterer. Mr. Freeze orders everyone into the pool. He freezes the water, trapping all the guests inside. Yeah, let me reread that. He freezes the water, trapping all the guests, including Bruce and Dick. Mr. Freeze laughs, stating that will cool them off for a while. The fake Batman and Robin appear, demanding that Mr. Freeze give back the jewels or he'll be sorry. A fight ensues with the bumbling Batman and Robin who take on the fake caterers and lose. Batman and Robin run off with Mrs. Cooper calling after them not to leave them. Alfred returns to the pool with a tray with only one drink on it, surprised to find everyone frozen in the pool.
Yeah, for the first time in a long time, Alfred's not the one who gets knocked out or something happens to him. He's the only one that doesn't get like. I thought yeah, I was afraid that Alfred was going to get gassed again or something, frozen or something, but not this time. Everybody else gets attacked except for him, so he gets off scot-free. He saves the day here.
Alfred,
Also of note too that before they get before while Mr. Freeze is trying to convince them to go into the water, um, they have a cop that is going to take it upon himself to attack Mr. Freeze. Mr. Freeze freezes him, and the glow of the freeze ray is green instead of blue, which is notable. So he's changed that up a little bit. And we pretty much think he's dead.
yeah, we don't
Like
see him saved.
he's pretty much kid, yeah. So that's a pretty casual death there.
I my biggest problem with this scene is Alfred coming back out with only one drink on his tray. I'm like, you're
Took him a
coming
long
back.
time to make a drink.
Yeah, you coming back from the kitchen with only one drink on your tray, dude? You're gonna have to be going back soon.
Well, I think he saw what was going on and he was just like, I'm just drinking them. He's just pulling them back. And plus, like I said, it was, that Alan Napier didn't want to work with Auto Predator, so maybe he's just like, dude, I'd just rather not be in this scene. But so in addition, we talked a little bit about Otto, but I think the other thing about the this appearance of Mr. Freeze that does work better than the George Sanders one is that they've streamlined the suit a bit better. It looks better. The tanks are not as huge, they're not as cumbersome. He's not wearing the helmet, right?
Yes, I like it better without the helmet. And One thing I love about this Mr. Freeze costume is the fire extinguishers because they don't hide the fact that they're fire extinguishers. I freaking laugh every time I see it. I love it.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, they're supposed to be coolant tanks, Drew. How dare you suggest otherwise?
They're freaking fire extinguishers. I freaking love it.
But I think they've streamlined the suit a little bit better. So I think he looks better. I can't say that he acts better because Preminger just kind of has one note.
He does,
Uh,
but I actually prefer him over the helmet, Mr. Freeze. I don't
okay.
know. It may even just be the costume that I like better, but I don't know. I prefer this Mr. Freeze over the other one.
I think we both admit that it wasn't, George Sanders's best part when he was in the first season as Mr. Freeze. So I think there was a lot against him. And I'm just going on, historically the work of both actors. That I know that George Sanders is an accomplished actor, but I'll tell you what, the sequences where Mr. Freeze here is talking to Miss Iceland about falling in love with him, getting her to fall in love with him. He's going to change because the other plot point here, he's got two things he wants to do. One is he wants to Operation Hate Batman, but he's also kidnapped Miss Iceland and he's converting her physiology to match his own, thinking that if he does that, she'll fall in love with him. And that those sequences just feel flat to me. Like I normally we've seen before, or we've seen since then, other stories that have shown Mr. Freeze's character to be one of like the one that you can feel compassionate about because he has intense feelings for his wife. He's trying to save his wife in the comics as well as in the animated series. And so he has a lot of empathy or he evokes a lot of empathy. And this Mr. Freeze does not. Like, I could see where he could, if there was a sequence where he just explained that he was, because of his condition, he's lonely and he wants to, seek companionship and someone to meet him physically or whatever. That would be that would add a lot to his character, but they don't give us that. And even if they did, I just don't, like I said, I don't find Otto to be great enough to be able to pull that off because he just comes across as a bully, really.
Bully
And
and a little
and
bit creepy, if you ask me.
yeah, yeah, he's creepy and he's just one note. Like he just goes ha 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 ha. Like he doesn't even like he just, you know, and he keeps poking his eyebrow. So, I don't know. It's a mixed bag here. It's a mixed bag for sure. As far as I'm glad to see Mr. Freeze back. And in a lot of ways this episode is kind of fun and I know we're not done yet but it's still kind of there's some other things that kind of bug me about this too, so
Down in the Batcave, Batman thanks Alfred for saving them by turning on the pool's heater.
again, Alfred to the rescue.
The Bat computer spits out three possible locations for Mr. Freeze's hideout: the bottling works, the meat packing company, or the Frosty Freezy factory. Now that I think about it, this might have been the scene where the Bat computer spits it out and he's sitting in front of the wrong machine. I can't
Gotcha.
remember.
Yeah, there are two similar scenes, and
Yeah,
yeah, and in both cases, the dynamic duo just let the computer do the work for them.
yeah.
They're not thinking well. They're not adding anything to it. They're just basically putting things into the computer and then acting on them. So which is, kind of a shame, but
Mr. Freeze surprises Batman at the Frosty Freezy factory while Robin is reading over the flavors.
he
A
seems very
fight in
excited about those flavors, by the way.
Yes, he does. A fight ensues. Batman and Robin beat the henchmen, but get surprise blasted by Mr. Freeze's gun. Captured, Batman and Robin are put in what looks like a giant snow cone. Mr. Freeze laughs, stating that Batman and Robin will be the first two human Frosty Freezes in history. Can this be happening? Batman being made into a pineapple Frosty Freezy and Robin into a lime one. Has the diabolical Mr. Freeze outwitted the dynamic duo after all, with some fancy ice work? Hope for a miracle and stay frozen in your seats. Until tomorrow, same time, same channel.
No, no bat time, no bat channel here. So that's kind of not even a play on it. I do like the whole like this thing. And you gotta you gotta freeze yourself. I hope you're not drinking Batman and Robin, because
No,
that
I'm not.
if it's Batman and Robin flavored, I want no part of that, Drew.
Well,
Um,
I tried to get a lime color. I tried to get a blue raspberry, but this purplish color was all they had because their
mm,
machines, the other flavors weren't processing right or
because
empty
because
or
they had Batman and Robin stuck in them. That's why.
apparently.
Yeah, the I do like the visual because it's not the two of them in one machine. They've got their own separate machines, and it just looks pretty cool. Again, Adam West is selling it. He's kind of shaking like he's shivering, whereas Bert's just kind of sitting there. Um, one thing I will say, because I know I've given Otto a bit of a hard time in this review, but I will say at least he's using his own accent, whereas George Sanders was putting on some sort of weird accent that was not really distinguishable of anything the first time he played Mr. Freeze or when he played him the first season. So, so there is that element to it. Like I said, it's a mixed bag here. There's some good stuff, but then there's some stuff that just doesn't really work either. It's like they threw in the Miss Iceland thing just because they were like, oh, we need something to have a woman in there, like a woman in a bikini or something in there. So, or a bathing suit anyway. I don't think she's wearing a bikini, but maybe she is. I don't know. I should know that. Anyway, I don't know. What'd you think overall?
Overall, I thought it was just an average Batman episode. I don't think it was outstanding. Like some of the ones we've been reviewing lately, like
Like Egghead,
yeah, like the Egghead or
Penguin?
Clock King Penguin. Yeah, I don't think this one's outstanding. It's not terrible,
No.
but it's not. I wouldn't put it as one that I'd like to watch over and over again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's interesting because, Mr. Freeze is actually from the comics, as we pointed out. He was created by, I believe, Sheldon Moldoff in the comics, um, and he should be because we've seen in other media, he's right there on the top list of Bat villains. Um, and you would think that he would reach that point here in the series, but he really doesn't. I mean, I would put new characters like King Tut and Egghead above Mr. Freeze. So it's not to say it's a total awful thing because, as I said, it's and look, even not great Batman 60s is still really, really fun. So I'm not knocking it at all. As far as it's not painful to watch. It's just like I said, that's unfortunate because there's some things here that I could have really worked, but they just fall flat for me.
Yeah, and I really like the animated version of Mr. Freeze and Batman the Animated Series.
Yes, yeah. I think that's been primarily like the one that's really definitive, proven definitive. And I think the comics kind of helped with that too. So, um, yeah, and like I said, we get we get the visually cool looking cliffhanger at the end, which is really cool looking, like I said, visually. I don't know. It doesn't make sense with his plan though, because if he's trying to ruin Batman's reputation, like why make a tasty freeze out of him? Like why make a popsicle out of him? It just that seems to be going against his plan. So, um, but yeah, it looks cool. I don't know how they're going to get out of it. So I can't wait to see what we end up with in the next episode.
Yep, same here. All right, well that wraps up another episode. Do you have a shout out, Mike?
I do. A while back, doing research for the Batman 60s series, I mentioned I give a shout out to this book, which is the official Bat book by Joel Eisner. And this is, I think, one of the first few printings of it anyway. I don't know. There's been multiple. It's very popular. This is the first Titan edition, which was published in 1987, that I have. But there has been, since then, there has been a revised version that has come out, which is more like a phone book. And so I was able to acquire this recently, and it does have a lot more information. It's laid out a lot nicer. It's got a lot of images, some of which I haven't seen before, some behind the scenes stuff and everything. So it is worth, I think, if you're looking at getting the official, like an official Bat book by Joel, if you're looking at that, the the first printings make for nice collectibles, I think. But if you want the most recently updated and you want all the information possible, I would pay a little bit extra, whatever you have to do to get this version of it. And that's not to say I'm going to make a caveat. That's not to say that everything in here is 100% accurate, because I have run across some things that are not true. But but it is a lot more. Like I said, it does have a lot more information in it than the other version. So if you're, some revised editions, you're like, oh, is it worth rebuying? In this case, yes.
All right, and for my shout out, I'm going to shout out about the Earth Station DCU BatChums Patreon, because now we have a Patreon, which
Woohoo!
I'm excited about. So
Me
we're doing
too.
bonus episodes of Earth Station DCU, which Cletus and I are reviewing the Jeff Johns run of Green Lantern. So we did Green Lantern Rebirth, and then we went into the Jeff Johns series. And then when they added the second the Green Lantern Corps title, because some of those stories bounce back and forth between those two series. So, we're going to be talking about the Sinestro Corps War and Blackest Night and stuff like that. So, Cletus and I are very excited about reviewing that. So you can find that on
Good
our
stuff.
bonus Patreon. And then pretty soon, Mike and I are going to be releasing our Batman Caped Crusader episodes we reviewed a while back. So from the Amazon animated series.
Yes.
So,
Yes, that was fun. Yeah, we recorded those, and we will be releasing them to our patrons. So, and yeah, we would appreciate any support that you could give us. But for those people who are actually like giving us a little bit of change to help with expenses, you're going to get something for it. I'm not saying it's a good thing, but you're going to get something.
like we always say, the worst is yet to come.
That's right, exactly.
All right, if you'd like to comment on anything we've talked about tonight, you can reach us at our feedback line, 317-455-8411. Leave us a message, text us, or you can email us at batchumspodcast@gmail.com. All right, you ready to get out of here, Batchum?
It's so cold in here. I'm ready to get heated up. So yes, bat chums are ready to move out.
Atomic batteries to power, turbines to speed. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Don't worry. The heat is yet to come.